Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. First off, Happy New Year from me here at Chels Beads. I am so excited for you guys to be joining me in 2022. There are going to be a ton of new tutorials and we're just gonna kick back and have a ton of fun. The tutorial for today is a full vinyl wrap with this amazing vinyl from North 80 on Etsy. I'll have it linked and listed in the description box below, but it was really the inspiration behind the design I chose. As always, all of the products will be listed and linked in the description box below. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If you like this video, guys, please consider subscribing. It really helps me to continue to bring you amazing content. So if you're ready, let's get started. To start off, you want to prep your cup. I'm using a 30-ounce skinny from the Stainless Depot, and I'm just taking 150 grit sandpaper, and I am running it along every surface of the cup. You want to make sure to do this because most stainless steel tumblers do have a coating that is designed to prevent fingerprints and things like that. The bottom of the cup also did come with that little seal there, and you just want to make sure to get that as it's really shiny and might repel the resin. After you sand, you're going to want to wash it off with some Dawn Power Wash. I just use this in a bucket of water. I use my hands to rub off any of that extra grit. From there, we are going to be drying this off with a microfiber cloth. And once it's dried inside and out, we are ready to move on to the actual project. So first off, I wanted to show you what we will be using today. We are doing a full vinyl wrap. This is a gorgeous Valentine's print from North 80. And to do this, we're going to do a little bit of measuring. I don't like to waste printed vinyl because there's always a way to use all of the extras. So to do this, I've come up with a way to make sure we get straight lines, and that is wrapping the tumbler first, making sure that I have the overhang I'd like. Then I turn the tumbler on its side and tap down. That means the edges meet like you see here, and I know that that edge is going to be straight on my cup. This is a really easy way to get your vinyl wrap to lay on your tumbler straight. Now I want to trim excess off, so we are going to go about measuring that and figuring out how much we need. To do this, I look at that overhang there on my top rim, and I decided I wanted about 1.5 inches overhang. So I come in with a little highlighter marker and just mark that off. I just double check and make sure that I'm orienting the right way before I make my line. Once I do that, I am ready to take it over to my paper trimmer and get this trimmed up. I do want to mention though that I double and triple check this a couple times, especially because this pattern orients a certain way and I want to make sure it lays on the cup that way. So once I've double and triple checked that, I check my mark and then I'm ready to put it on my paper trimmer to go ahead and cut off that excess. I like to turn my vinyl upside down when I do my trimming just in case the blade catches. It'll catch on that backing paper instead of on the vinyl design itself. Also, printed vinyl is prone to being scratched, so that's why I do it this way. Once you have this cut, go ahead and save that little extra. I will have a project in the future using these vinyl scraps, so make sure to stick that aside. Once we have it trimmed up, we are ready to make a couple of guide marks on our cup so that we can make sure we maintain that straight edge. To do that, we're going to wrap it again and I tap it down just until the edges meet. That way I know my line is straight. Once I have that, I'm going to anchor that piece in place with my thumb, and I'm going to come in with my highlighter and we are going to make a few guide marks on here. These guide marks are going to help us know where to place the vinyl when we're ready to start the wrap. Now we are going to move on to actually wrapping the cup. To do this, I'm going to remove about 1 inch, possibly 1.5 inches of that backing paper, but I don't cut it off. I just fold it down over itself so that I can make sure if I need to reposition this, I do have some backing paper that will hold that anchor point. I go ahead and fold it down like so. And now we're gonna take the cup, and I don't have a cup cradle, guys. I probably should get one. But if your cup rolls, I take one of my paintbrushes or silicone tools, and whatever direction it's rolling, I stick it back along that line and it stops the cup from moving. So After we have that cup where we want it to be, go ahead and line up the edge of that vinyl with those guide marks that we drew on. None of these guide marks will be visible, so you don't even have to worry about removing them. I do this with the vinyl facing me, but as you'll see, I do turn this cup around and I orient it in a different direction when I go to finish the entire wrap. Go ahead and place that down as straight as possible and with no bubbles or anything like that, which will help you get a bubble-free application. Turn your cup around, and we are going to be using a felt edge squeegee tool. And also remember to remove that paintbrush so you can actually rotate your cup. As you see me doing here, I'm working back and forth, making sure that I am using this squeegee tool to remove this vinyl from the backing paper. I'm taking care to apply even pressure, especially to my edges, so that I don't get any buckling or bubbles along those points. If you do have to lift up and fix a spot, make sure you only go back as far as necessary and squeegee it back down. You're going to continue applying this using this squeegee tool and just running it back and forth. This should provide a pretty good bubble-free application. If you notice on your edges you are getting a couple of bubbles, you can pull at that excess that we left and just kind of stretch it a little bit over those edges to help out with any of those little problem areas. Go ahead and continue doing this, and we'll come back when we've finished the wrap. Now that we have the vinyl on, we do have that excess overhang of about 1 inch. So what I'm doing is running my thumbnail down this line so that I know where those two vinyl pieces meet. Now I'm taking a straight edge and just a scant to the left of where those two pieces of vinyl meet, I am going to place my straight edge there, and I am going to run my X-Acto knife over that line using my straight edge as my guide. What this is going to do is allow me to have a slight overhang so that I can make sure that these two pieces of vinyl add up. I do apologize for not filming removing that strip. The footage did accidentally get deleted. Here you see me going ahead and removing the excess on the top rim like you've seen me do several times with vinyl, and I'm just taking my blade and running it parallel to the rim of the cup. Here's a good time to mention, if you do have any stubborn little bubbles, just take your craft knife and make a small incision and it should lay flat. Now for the bottom, I'm just going to pull this vinyl up and around the bottom, tore it there. And once we have that laid down, we are going to take our cup edging tool from Wicked Shimmer, and I am using this thickness of a base plate. I'm not really sure what the sizes are, so I will have that information listed in the description box below, but this is the plate I use when I want to get a finer line of stainless steel at the bottom and not remove too much of the vinyl. Keep in mind, we will be covering this up, but I did want a nice line to start off with so our fade looks good. Go ahead and remove any of the excess vinyl just by peeling it back. And if you have any stubborn areas, you can always go back over and run the cup back through the edging tool. Now we're going to move on to trimming up the rim of the cup. To do that, you're going to take a number 11 blade that you would use for your X-Acto knife and hold it against the thickness of a credit card or something similar. And you're going to hold your cup and run it around that blade. Basically, it is a makeshift cup edging tool, and it allows you to get a very fine line so that we're not sanding down on our vinyl. I did have to repeat this because I accidentally went over. Once you have that done, we're ready to move on to decorating the cup. Now it's on to decorating the cup. You're going to need a couple of tools. One is an applicator bottle with a fine needle tip, a syringe, some Mod Podge, a little mixing cup, and of course our glitter. I'm using Smitten by Diamond and Dust, and I will have that linked and listed in the description box below. Once you have all your supplies ready, make sure you also have a small little thing of water. I'm pouring about 10 milliliters of Mod Podge, and I'm squirting just a couple of drops of water with the syringe into my medicine cup. This is going to thin the Mod Podge down just slightly so that it can be applied using the applicator bottle. Once you have it thinned down, you're going to squirt the water out of the syringe, and now we're going to use the syringe to transfer it to our applicator bottle. I have these really tiny ones that I got off Amazon. I would definitely recommend working with a slightly larger bottle, but this is still just as good if this is all you have. To apply our Mod Podge, I'm going to be doing a scribble or graffiti heart design. And basically what I'm using is the tip of this to act like my drawing tool. And I am going to be just scribbling the shape of a heart randomly all over the surface of the cup. I am trying to keep in mind that I do have some really cool word art on this vinyl, and I do want some of that to shine through. So I'm placing my hearts to where we can still read some of those words. Once we have that applied and it's looking the way you would like, go ahead and take your glitter and sprinkle it over. Because we are working with vinyl, there is going to be some static electricity, so you will have some excess glitter on the sides even after tamping this down. Don't worry about that. We will fix that after our Mod Podge has dried. I'm just going to speed up this video footage so you can watch me applying the rest of the hearts to the cup. And then when this is dry, we're going to come back and clean up all that glitter. Once your Mod Podge is dried, I let it sit for probably about 30 minutes. I come in with a fan brush, and just as easy as that, all of that excess glitter can be just wiped off, and you will be good to go. The next stage of this project, we are going to be taking some Eileen's Tack It Over and Over and a small flat brush, and we are going to be painting on additional little accents that will be gold foiled. You see me with just some swashes, and I will also be painting in some little tiny hearts as well. These are just accents. They're not going to be all over. I just wanted to fill in some of that negative space that we have and add just a little bit more of a touch to it. Keep in mind before you apply your gold foil, you do need to let this dry. I went ahead and put it on my bench and stepped aside for about an hour and then came back. I don't think it takes quite that long, but I wanted to be safer than sorry. It will kind of disappear, so you might need to tack your finger over the areas to see where you had placed it. Once you find the areas, we're going to take sheets of this gold foil, and I am just going to tamp it down over all of my glued areas. This is a trust the process moment. It's going to look a little bit like a hot mess because, like with the glitter, this gold foil wants to stick to that vinyl. So just keep placing your foil down everywhere where you have placed that. Tack it and burnish it down slightly with your finger. I also take a rough paintbrush and go over just to make sure that I have the glued areas burnished down. As you see me applying this gold foil, you'll notice that I use my thumbnail a lot. I do that to clean up any of the loose foil around the edges of the design. In the next step, you're going to see why that's important. I repeat that for all of the gold accents that I place on the cup, and then I'll show you how I clean up all of that gold foil fallout. Once you have all your gold foil accents placed, take a piece of medium tack transfer tape, and we are going to clean up all of that gold fallout by tacking it over all of those areas. What this is going to do is lift up the gold foil just on the areas where there is no glue, i.e. cleaning up all of that jazz. This is how the cup looks once we've cleaned out that fallout. I did not seal my cup because any additional fallout I kind of wanted on the cup, but if you didn't want that look, you would want to spray this with Rust-Oleum 2x Gloss Clear. Once you have it sealed or you're ready to move on, we're going to go ahead and apply 25 milliliters of my favorite epoxy, which is Tumbler Coating Epoxy from the Epoxy Resin store. I am just applying this the way I would anything else. Now you'll see on mine, I did not seal, so I do have some additional gold foil fallout, which I really liked to help add to the graffiti look of this cup. Don't worry about the bottom. We are applying epoxy to it, but we are going to be using our airbrush to really fade that bottom into our cup design. So here we are with the airbrushing. This is the color that I have mixed up, and I took my Iwata Eclipse airbrush to apply this paint. Basically, it was a mix of this Createx fluorescent pink. I added 2 drops to about 10 milliliters of golden titanium liquid white. And then I also added about 3 drops of airbrush medium just to bring it to the right consistency for the airbrush. Go ahead and fill your airbrush cup, and I always test a little spot on my cardboard just to make sure I have the right flow and the right consistency of paint. I do not mask anything off because what I am trying to do is fade this bottom into the rest of the design of the cup. We will not be applying glitter to the bottom, but we will be applying some sparkle effect. Go ahead and run your airbrush along that rim of stainless steel just to get it started and start applying color. Keep in mind, the closer you are to your object, the more intense and thin the line will be. The further away you are, the finer spray you will get, and it will cover a larger surface area. Once I have the rim covered, I go ahead and I also come in and make sure that I have the bottom covered. If you are having an issue with flow, your nozzle may be clogged, or your needle, go ahead and just wipe it off with a very fine cloth and continue spraying. What you see me doing here is we're beginning that fade up into the rest of our vinyl. Once I have that first line established, I come back through and just make sure I have it to the coverage I would like. And you also see me here adding paint to the bottom of the cup. I prefer an airbrush to spray paint because it really gives you a beautiful, fine, finished look. Now we're going to be working on that final fade, and I am holding my airbrush about 6 to 7 inches from the bottom of the cup there, and I am quickly spraying bursts of paint to fade that bottom line up into the vinyl. I feel like this gives a really good graffiti look to this cup and just helps to kind of blend in the look we are going for. Now we're going to change airbrushes. I have a designated airbrush for alcohol ink. It's a Posca airbrush, and I'm using Rainbow Marabou additive, and we are going to fill our cup with the straight alcohol ink, but because this is an airbrush, it's going to disperse that beautiful mica pigment that's in that alcohol ink in such a way where we create a really beautiful finish to this. As you can see the sparkle coming out of the airbrush, all of those fine particles are now kind of being atomized onto the bottom of the cup. This is going to create a really beautiful rainbow pearl finish, and I love how it ties the bottom of the cup into the rest of the cup without adding the bulk of any extra glitter. Let the paint and alcohol ink layers dry thoroughly, and then you're ready to add your final coats of epoxy. This cup took 3 final coats, and I did do some light sanding in between coats 1 and 2. After this cures, this cup is ready to go. I hope you guys enjoyed learning all these techniques and even playing with some cool new tools like an airbrush. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Consider leaving a comment down below and make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really does mean the world to me. You can check out my last video here, and again, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, guys, stay creative.